And so we're going to go there and we're going to call out to them. Here's where Jonathan kind of lays out a fleece. Lays the fleece out, much like Gideon. And says, if they call us up there, God's going to deliver them in our hands. If they say, they don't invite us, they leave us down at the bottom, then we're not going to go up there. We're not going to engage. We're going to just, okay, that's it. They don't, God's not delivering us. Well, he's determined that. Now, you might look at that and you might say, okay, he's tempting God. He's putting God to the test. Well, I don't believe that. I believe that he's going forward. I believe that he's God inspired. I believe that he's moving with something here. I believe that Jonathan, as he moves forward, God is speaking to him and just saying, go forward. And if this happens, this is what will be. Now, his armor bearer in verse 7 says, do all that's in your heart. Now, for us today, we say a lot of times we need to follow our heart. We need to follow what's going on. We need to follow what's taking place. We oftentimes will sit and wait when God is speaking. We'll oftentimes also try to go and do when God is not speaking and not sit and listen. Now, you can look at this story in one of two ways here. Now understand, anytime I ever say story, I'm talking about a true biblical event that's recorded in the Bible. So this story leads us to, okay, maybe Saul was relaxing, waiting on a word from God, and maybe Jonathan jumped the gun and put God to the test. No. If Saul had been doing what Saul needed to be doing, then Saul would not have been just relaxing. He would have already been seeking the Lord and not dependent on Jonathan to go out and to lead in the way he was. So we got all the way down to verse 12 where the Philistines come out and they go, hey, yeah, look at those two guys down there. They're coming out from their hiding places. Because remember, in chapter 13, they scattered and hid in the rocks and crevices and different places. They look down and say, oh, look at these guys. They're coming out. They want to come up here and they want to fight. Well, let's invite them up and then we'll tell them something. But when they come up here, we're going to show them something. And so they invite them to come up, and Jonathan looks at his armor bearer, and obviously these are my words and not Jonathan's words, but in no uncertain words does he just say to him, God's given us them into our hands, and we're going to go up there, and we're going to have a battle, and we're going to win. And so as they begin to go up, he tells his armor bearer, follow me, come in behind me, and we're going to go up there, and God's going to deliver them in our hands. Pick up in verse 13, it says this, then Jonathan climbed on his hands and his feet with his armor bearer behind him, and they fell before Jonathan, and his armor bearer put some to death after him. That first slaughter which Jonathan and his armor bearer made was about 20 men within a half a furrow in an acre of land. Now, let's stop there for just a second. What they're describing is this. Jonathan comes up there. He kills some 20 men and his armor bearer as well. They kill some 20 men. And that acre that's described is described like this. It's the area that a pair of oxen would plow in a normal field. So that's how it's really described. A half a furrow in an acre of land. So in a not very big spot, he killed 20 people. Now, verse 15 goes on to say this, and there was a trembling in the camp, in the field, and among the people. Even the garrison and the raiders trembled. And the earth quaked so that it became a great trembling. So what happened? God delivered the Philistines. Now you can picture this. this, that there's a garrison of people there. Jonathan comes up with his armor bearer. They slaughter 20 people in a small area. The others come out to see what's going on. There's an earthquake going on. There's things going on, shaking, and they see all the people. You have to imagine that these people probably were scared and thinking, wow, somebody is attacking us. Even if they saw Jonathan and his armor bearer right off, they would have thought that there were more people attacking. How many times do we read in the Old Testament that God delivered the Israelites because he confused the enemy? Flip back a little bit. He confused the enemy when the first battle, when they defeated the Philistines. I'm sorry, not the Philistines, the Amorites. So as we look at that, this is what's going on. Now Saul's watchmen in Gibeah of Benjamin looked, and behold, the multitude melted away, and they went here and there. And Saul said to the people who were with him, number now, and see who is gone from us. And when they had numbered, behold, Jonathan and his armor bearer were not there. So as they looked at their camp, they said, okay, something's going on. The Philistines are running. Somebody must have snuck out and attacked them, see what's going on and see who's there. Now, I can imagine that the people were probably surprised. Maybe not by the fact that it was Jonathan, because Jonathan had attacked the Philistines one time before, but the fact that the Philistines are running, scattering, something's going on, and there's only 2 people missing. Now, God is a God of the impossible. Does he do possible things? Yes, he does. I had said this a number of years ago. We would go around and we'd build ramps and do different things for people. And I once said, I've often said, that we could build a ramp on our own power. We could do that. That's something that we could do within our own power. But to take a group of kids who have no knowledge and for that to work, that's a God thing. So there are things that we can do that are possible that God also is involved in and does, but he also is the God of impossible. Jonathan and his armor bearer were at impossible odds. There is no way that they could have, under their own power, overcome 20 people and then cause the Philistine army to flee and to scatter and just be confused. So I'm sure that they were surprised that, hey, wait, there's only 2 people missing and all this is going on. So then Saul says to Ahijah, bring the ark of God here, for the ark of God was at that time with the sons of Israel. A side note for the ark, we don't know if this was the Ark of the Covenant, because there is no description that it had actually traveled to the place where they're at. It's very possible that the ark that he's talking about is that ephod that the priest is wearing, or that the priest has in his possession. Verse 19 says, it happened while Saul talked to the priest that the commotion in the camp of the Philistines continued and increased. So Saul said to the priest, withdraw your hand. And Saul and all the people who were with him rallied and came to the battle, and behold, every man's sword was against his fellow, and there was a very great confusion. Now the Hebrews who were with the Philistines previously, who went up with them and all around in the camp, even they also turned to be with the Israelites, who were with Saul and Jonathan. When all the men of Israel who had hidden themselves in the hill country of Ephraim heard that the Philistines had fled, even they also pursued them closely in battle. So the Lord delivered Israel that day, and the battle spread beyond Bethaven. Well, what happened? Well, God delivered. When God says, I will, God does. When in the Old Testament we read that God says, one day I will send a Savior. He did, in the form of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ came as a baby, born to a virgin mother, who was born in a manger, who was raised and lived a perfect life, who went to the cross for sins he didn't commit, for you and I to have salvation. He paid the price on Calvary. He was laid in a borrowed tomb. He was resurrected on the third day. He walked the earth for 40 days when he ascended, and he now sits at the right hand of God. We serve a risen Savior. A couple weeks ago, we sang about that. We talked about Easter. We talked about how we serve a living God, not a memory, but a living God, someone who interacts in our lives daily. So when we talk about what's taken place in chapter 14, we look at what has taken place. We ask ourselves, is God still speaking to us? Is God still intervening for us? I'll tell you this. We're a blessed people. In all of the virus thing that's going on, the coronavirus, everything that's going on, I can tell you this, that God is in control. God's got this. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't think this. I don't think that. I look at what's given to me, and I just process the information that I have. And in everything that I see, everything that I read, I constantly remind myself, God is in control. When I go to the store, do I wear a mask? Yes. Am I worried about it? Not really. But he also gave me sense. He gave Jonathan enough sense at the base of that cliff to say, if they invite us up there, God's going to give them in our hand. But if they don't, I'm not going to go anyway. Oftentimes, that's what we look at. Oftentimes, we will make decisions on our own and not wait on what God says. Bottom line in the first part of chapter 14 is this. Saul should have been the spiritual leader. But instead, he was taking it easy and not